Intuitives, yes, another before work video. Oh, and just in case you ever wondered why I do this at the beginning of every video, it's because I'm lifting up my tablet to see how much recording time I still have before I need to make more space, because I've been cut off mid-video, and, it's never as good the second time, and it's not that good to begin with, so it's important that I get it right on the first take, because I never really have time for a second one, and it's always worse than the first, so planning. INFJs are good at that. Welcome new subscribers, and thank you everybody who takes the time to listen to a nobody like me. And I got another INFJ topic today, and it's the INFJ and Murphy's Law. Oh, Murphy's Law, how you curse thee. As INFJs, we seem to encounter Murphy's Law more than most. And Murphy's Law, essentially, there's a lot of definitions, but more or less it's anything that can go wrong does go wrong. Like the things that can go wrong that probability states shouldn't go wrong tend to go wrong for us. Like INFJs, this can tie into why we overthink so much and why we plan so much, but it's important for us as INFJs, despite the fact that we're already very forward-thinking people and planners, to have contingency plans in place, because Murphy's Law coming for us. Certainly has for me. Time and time again. Murphy's Law and I don't get along. It's like on my list of things to destroy. The Old Boys Club is first and foremost on that list, and I've been fighting against it valiantly but vainly for over a decade and a half. It's tough when you're a nobody. But nonetheless, I at least annoy them from time to time. I'm a thorn in their side. But back to Murphy's Law. So anything that can go wrong does go wrong, and this is seen by the best laid plans of INFJs, things they cannot anticipate. Like, for example, if an INFJ, say in 2020, gets their dream job. Yeah, I know, you're sick of hearing this example, but it applies to a lot of things, so you didn't hear it again. Say in 2020, an INFJ gets their dream job in an area they always wanted to live after having been cheated out of it 14 years before. Okay, now we got a COVID pandemic. Obviously something that the INFJ couldn't plan for, didn't see it coming. Say they get bullied and hazed at that job and speak out against it and face retaliation. You know the story, get kicked out, get blacklisted. Well, the INFJ would have planned for the instance if something would have happened at that job, and would have had, potential contingency plans in place in order to remain living in the area they wanted to live. Like if it's, greater DC, perhaps that INFJ with a background in environmental and soil science would have looked into potential jobs in the EPA. Oh, wait, we had a Republican administration at the time. Or, various other jobs in those fields. But, oh, wait, it's a lockdown. So there's a example of Murphy's Law that could not be anticipated. It's one thing if the dream job doesn't work out for whatever reason, even if it's not your fault. It's another to have to contend with there being, a lockdown, specifically a very stringent one in that region, to try and find other employment in order to keep that place of residence, and, throw a little more Murphy's Law. Hey, isn't there a safety net called unemployment that you follow all the rules, this and that? Yeah, but it's an antiquated system where if you call and there's no line available, there's no staying on hold, and it kicks you off and you can never get through, and you can never get the benefits in which you paid into since, say, you were 15. That's an example of everything that could go wrong did go wrong, sort of like the sinking of the Titanic. And no matter the best laid plans and the best laid, efforts, it cannot be overcome. And that is something INFJs encounter in, in a lot of ways, like our most thought out, well planned, well executed plans beyond law of probability somehow seem to go to hell. And it seems that we, more than normal, encounter like those bad things that could happen that say there's a 2% probability of happening. Oh, we'll be the 2%. Yeah, we'll be the 2% more often than not. And that can become very frustrating to us because you get into that mode of it's like, well, why bother? You know, why bother even if I execute this seemingly, unstoppable plan to the T? Some twist of fate is bound to happen in order for it to go to hell. And again, that's why INFJs, a lot of times will decide, why bother? I'm not going to try anymore. I'm going to just be a hermit. This is another thing that can send an INFJ into hermit mode because they'll feel like what they're fighting for, what they're striving for, what they're striving to be, that the game is rigged against them. And I did another video that ties into this, being the edge of the coin. That's essentially what an INFJ has to be. You have to have the coin land on its edge because for us, it seems like heads or tails, the game is rigged. Both sides lead to negative outcomes, and the only way to transcend that is to be that 1 in 6,000 chance for the coin to land on its edge. And for that to happen, you have to flip a coin enough times and, strike at that minute flicker of probability of the coin on its edge. Yeah, I know. Very metaphorical, very philosophical. It's a good video. More people should watch it. I'm actually proud of that one, and yeah, I wish people would watch it. I'll put a link. Please watch it. So, Murphy's Law can be frustrating, but understand, and this is another thing INFJs have to understand with Murphy's Law, we're extremely hard on ourselves more than we are other people. And when it comes to something going to hell based on, something that could easily be called Murphy's Law, we're often like extremely hard on ourselves for somehow not seeing with our intuition that possibility happening. But oftentimes it's something so far-fetched, and more often even than that, it's not just one thing. It's, like the whole perfect storm scenario of where, like in my case, it's like, well, a guy who shouldn't have been allowed to be an instructor was an instructor. One of his buddies was the XO and protected his actions. Nothing was done about retaliation. It was done during a pandemic, so there were no other jobs to have, and the unemployment system was antiquated. So all those in my situation in 2020 is, the Murphy's Law scenario to where my whole situation went to hell and the worst case scenario happened. If any one of those 5 things I just mentioned would have gone my way or the way it should have been based on logic and probability, my situation would be totally different. But, Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong does go wrong, and it was the combination of those 5 things that led the complete annihilation of everything I worked for, and the complete crumbling of any sense of accomplishment or purpose. And you have to understand as INFJs that I'd say certain things are out of our control, that even with the best laid plans, things like that can happen. Now, I understand, like take my situation again, if, for example, for your situation to completely go to hell, say you need you're flipping a coin, you need a coin to land on heads 5 consecutive times. What are the odds that 5 consecutive coin flips would be heads and there would not be 1 tails in there? Because with 1 tails, you have something salvageable at that point. But no, 5 heads completely go to hell. And that does seem to happen to us more often than, is normal by probability. And again, it frustrates us because we will overthink to the core of what we could have done different. What signs did we miss that we could have seen this coming and built some kind of contingency around it? Like, what could we have done differently? And maybe in some cases, we could have planned some far-fetched Hail Mary contingency, but with, especially in the COVID times, it's like, no power. Like, what can you do? Like, really, what could we have done? I mean, yes, the people in power could have handled things a lot better, but I'm saying is the average person with no money and no power. So we have to understand as INFJs that, well, we can't give up after being brought down by some semblance of Murphy's Law, but we also can't torture ourselves thinking that we missed something, we misread some sign, that we didn't plan for some contingency, when really what happened, the probability of it happening, at least the combination of it, was so slim, and that at least aspects of, that perfect storm were completely out of our control, and there was nothing we could have done about it. It is torturous. You're going to overthink it for a time and probably put you in an NITI loop for a while, so it's important to know how to pull yourself out of those. But yes, INFJs, dealing with Murphy's Law more than most does seem to be a part of the INFJ experience, unfortunately. But understand, when you are struck by it, trust your intuition in thinking that if you could have done anything or not. If your intuition is certainly telling you that, no, couldn't have seen this coming, don't try to overthink it and somehow find a way to blame yourself. And remember, even if being brought down by circumstances that includes Murphy's Law, do not sell out your integrity as you fall. Understand that you did nothing wrong, and continue to uphold honor and integrity even if the system around you is going out of its way to screw you.